Yes, good day. Don't know, G. Alistair Militant. Today I'm going to discuss George Jackson. George Jackson was a convict prisoner in the United States of America in California. Did a petty crime, robbing a gas station or some store, and they gave him 1 year to life in prison. And he realized he was not going to be freed doing like 8 years or even more. Every time he went to the parole board, they hit him with another 2 years or whatever. But anyway, we're going to cut it short. Yeah, so when I was doing time upstate New York, now I was in Auburn Correctional Facility, so a Muslim Jamaican. His name was Aziz. He started teaching me about George Jackson. You know, he had a little clique group named the Vanguard that Aziz started himself. So every Saturday in the yard, we would exercise, run around, who doing push-ups or who in the weightlifting section lifting weights. You know, so he used to like round like a circle, giving us papers that he hand out, paper that he typed out about George Jackson. And he was impressed by this man. I was impressed by the inmate too, Aziz and George Jackson. So George Jackson, so anyway, so learn about George Jackson. And to this day, I never read a complete book about George Jackson. I just read what Aziz wrote and the papers, that he was a revolutionary, a vanguard, and he stood for something. Despite that he went to prison for a crime, it ended up being something positive. And he started the Black Vanguard family in prison, San Quentin. But watch a lot of documentaries on George Jackson. He even admit they studied communism, guerrilla warfare, China, Russia. Back then with the Soviet Union. And when you look at, he was a member of the Black Panther movement as well. Don't know if he was a member of the Black Panther before he committed a crime or when he was in prison he became a member because he stood up for some things. Anyway, but most black politicians, militant back in the 60s, like Black Panther parties too, a lot of them studied Marxism, and China and Cuba. They learned these guerrilla warfare. None of those people who stand for freedom, justice, and equality in the United States of America, they never used democracy to get attention from the democracy oppressions. They always use communism. And communism was support some of the movements in America from black people, whether they came from the Soviet Union, China. A lot of communist parties support a lot of the black militant movements. But that's just politics, you pick us and you support justice. But what I'm saying is like a black person in the United States of America never wielded a gun in the name of democracy. He wielded a gun, showed a gun, bear arms with communism ideology. Yeah. Even though they never showed communism, but communism was behind them. So that's just my comparing thing. But anyway, so back to George Jackson now. Yeah, George Jackson was like, so like I said, doing time in Auburn, I was in Cayuga Correctional Facility, but I got caught with a weapon or me and inmate got in something, so they sent me to the maximum prison, which was Auburn, where inmates doing life. So I run the Jamaican, there was Muslim Jamaican, Rastafarian Jamaicans, and Christian Jamaicans. Jamaicans always talk about the politics in Jamaica between two white leaders, JLP and PNP. But anyway, yeah, so Aziz was a Jamaican Muslim that was like had a grudge against the police, security police. He showed me a picture where police beat him, broke him up bad. Picture with him on the stretcher, knocked out, cold, bust up eye, blood coming all over his face. So he had those pictures, and when he was showing me them pictures, you could see the anger in him. So he was always strong, muscular, muscle exercise. That man, like many other inmates, would do like jumping jacks from the beginning of the yard till the yard is closed. That's like 2 hours or even less. They'll just do jumping jacks, and chair pickups. They do push-up, but in the yard, they would do jumping jacks for the longest. So that made me start doing jumping jacks and chair pickup like 1,000 straight without non-stop. They got to be color extended fit. So as he had a grudge against the police them, but he didn't give trouble though. He was always prepared for them because he put this vanguard thing, revolutionary status, standing something for a cause. So I was impressed by it. I learned a lot from him. So when I got transferred from Auburn out back to Cayuga, in the future, he ended up coming to Mid-State. You know, when you left from maximum prison, like a lot of inmates there that's doing like 25 to like 15 and they close 5 years to the parole board, they get shipped down to the medium prison. And he came to Mid-State where I saw him. And I was like, yo, you on your way home now. Put that stuff aside, because he would like come to the yard and want to teach. I like, no, I'm not that. I said, yo, we in a Mid-State. You soon go to your parole board. But he didn't care. He said, just because he soon go to parole don't mean nothing. You just must always be prepared. You must always be what you are, regardless. I didn't understand that point, but he was right. If you in something, no matter how you close your parole board, you must keep up your training, whether by education or physical. But that time it was the winter time, so I couldn't see myself also going to the yard in the court just to walk the yard. I wasn't walking the yard with no even 5%ers in that winter times, unless it's urgent. But you just go into the yard and walk with them and talk. I was not into that. So we never see each other from there. He got shipped out for something. Like, it was same thing. I get the police. Like, sometimes police will tag you that you are trouble inmate. Wherever you go, they will know that you one of those inmates that involved in this and whatever, whether by gang activity or revolutionary movement. So they shipped him out of the correctional facility. Yeah, but but like I said, I never read a complete book about George Jackson to this day, but on social media, internet, YouTube, you watch a lot of his documentaries. Him and the Soul Dad brothers, because I read about them too, him and his brother. His brother tried to break him out of prison in the courtyard, but George Jackson didn't appear to the court. He was not, they didn't make him come to court. So they ended up a shootout and they killed his brother, It was a big shootout in California. And Watson was involved in it, well, they put her involved in it. Yeah, her name was Angela Davis. Because the police report says she gave them the gun to bring in prison to escape. So she and him correspondence, because it's a book, George Jackson Letters from Prison to Angela Davis. They became friends during his prison time. But after the police killed an inmate, they rebelled and killed about 2 security guards. They knew George Jackson was behind it, so when he was in the yard walking, the police guard on the balcony just shot him. They knew they had to kill him. So that's the end of George Jackson's story. But I think every inmate should read George Jackson. But like I said, I never read the book to this day. But remember what Aziz taught me in prison. A lot of things I learned in prison. I learned about Malcolm X in prison too. I read Malcolm X's book, Afro-American History. Yeah, so on YouTube I learned a lot of documentary. One of George Jackson interview for asking if he ever killed anybody.
Was the incident for which you're charged now, was it a revolutionary act on your part?
You asking me to confess to something? As a
Unless you wanted to. Did you kill the man?
Look, one of the most important elements of guerrilla warfare is to maintain secrecy. I've killed nobody until, it's been proven. And they'll never be able to prove anything like that.
Like I said, in America, I never came across black people wielding the gun under democracy. And it's always communism, Black Panther communism, respecting China, Cuba, other communism parties. So, my perspective. So it was Auburn where I first came across Malcolm X's book. If I heard about Malcolm X in the other prison, it was a big name between the Muslim and the gods, the 5%ers. So this was the first book I read about Malcolm X in Auburn. History is a Weapon. This was the Afro-American History teaching of Malcolm X, where I read that book. I read this little book twice. I was also impressed by it. It taught me a lot of things. Then I read the autobiography. Now I read this one first, Afro Teaching of American History. Then I read something like The Ballad or the Bullet, when I learned about Jomo Kenyatta and the Momo in Kenya. I never knew black men were so rebellious that they even put fear in the colonizers, England. That England started to free up other colonial nations because they didn't want the Momo violence to spread. That's how the Momo was so fearless. That's why Malcolm was saying that the Kenyans were steamed compared to the black Americans, African Americans singing for freedom and marching. So That's what turned Malcolm X into a more militant who wanted the people to bear arms. That Elijah Muhammad didn't want that at that time. Yeah, so the Momo was an impressive story. I was impressed. I never knew. History don't, school there never taught that black man under colonial pressure was so upright to fight and stand. So I was impressed by that. They known me as a inmate, left from the streets of Mount Vernon, drugs, gun carrying, had the intentions, want to make moves, learn these things and revolution, became a different perspective. But the school system didn't teach us about Jomo Kenyatta and Momo. No school in Mount Vernon, New York, not to mention probably the whole United States. So can't confirm that, but school don't teach us these things, the real revolutionary, mostly about Martin Luther King. But anyway, so Malcolm X stuck. From I read Malcolm X book, I like, yeah. But on social media, you too, I learn more about Malcolm X. Download a lot of his speeches, watch for years. Yeah, so you learn more. I expand my knowledge. But what I learned in prison was always up here. It didn't change. And I was glad, and I searched more, learned more about Kenya. Learn more about the Momo on social media, YouTube. So once you learn something, you must expand it and try to do yourself good as well. Because history is, like you said, history is a weapon. Whether they manipulate you or they use it to gain you. So Ismail Shabazz is out.